So what?
Guys, this is a really serious issue. It affects water bodies around the world, even the Baltic Sea.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Eutrophication is a process by which a body of water becomes enriched with chemical nutrients, often due to an excess of nitrogen, phosphorus, or both. These nutrients are essential for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants and organisms transform light energy into chemical energy.
Let's break that down. What is nitrogen? Nitrogen is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, so it can be easy to overlook. Nitrogen is in all living organisms as it is a necessary component for constructing proteins. It is also found in the soil in the form of nitrates and ammonium salts, which are used to fertilize the soil.
So what is phosphorus? Phosphorus is essential to the general health and vigor of all plants. It stimulates plant roots, increases resistance to plant diseases, and improves seed production. Phosphorus also enters the water cycle as it is dissolved into the water and moves from plants to animals and then decomposers. Phosphorus is found most commonly in the widespread use of fertilizers.
Excess nutrients in water causes increased phytoplankton activity. Phytoplankton are tiny marine algae which are needed for the health of many ocean food webs, since they are what are called primary producer in the food chain. When phytoplankton have a nearly unlimited supply of phosphorus and nitrogen, they bloom. This bloom prevents other primary producers from getting enough sun, which they need to survive. This causes other species in the food web to die because they run out of food. Bacteria then eat the excess dead organisms, and when the bacteria feed, they use up crucial oxygen in the water that other species need to survive. This creates dead zones, causing more animals further up the food chain to die. Since the turn of the century, the Baltic phosphorus load has increased about 8-fold and the nitrogen load about 4-fold. The Baltic Sea is naturally susceptible to nutrient enrichment because it takes 25 to 35 years for all the water in the Baltic Sea to be replenished with water from the North Sea and beyond.
As we can see in this diagram, the vast majority of the Baltic Sea has been assessed as having bad levels of eutrophication.
Due to concern over the pollution of the Baltic Sea, the surrounding states signed the Convention on the Protection of the Marine Environment of the Baltic Sea area in 1974 to help mitigate one of the most contaminated seas in the world. However, a 2017 report stated that 97% of the Baltic Sea region was assessed as eutrophied during an assessment carried out between 2011 and 2015. There is evidence showing that the Baltic Sea cod populations have declined due to low levels of oxygen in the water. Cod is an important species, both for commercial fishing and for the health of the ecosystem.
So how did we cause this? We have identified 3 major causes for this problem. The first is fertilizer entering the water from agricultural runoff. Agriculture is responsible for over 45% of the nitrogen and phosphorus pollution in the Baltic Sea. Phosphorus is popular among farmers, but it can be a curse for the streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans which phosphorus ends up in. Waste from industrial livestock is also high in nutrients and can find its way into the Baltic Sea via runoff from farms. Another cause is municipal wastewaters. Urban sewage accounts for 12% of the overall nitrogen and 20% of overall phosphorus in the Baltic Sea. The third is aquaculture, which is farming of fish, aquatic plants, or shellfish that can cause eutrophication. If it is unmonitored, it can lead to a change in the water chemistry due to the excess food and fish excretion.
Don't worry, there is hope. It just requires a lot of hard work. Firstly, the agriculture sector needs to halt its addiction to phosphorus and nitrogen-rich fertilizers and adopt more sustainable farming practices. Secondly, governments. They need to invest in infrastructure to upgrade sewage plants and ensure better treatment of waste.
Thirdly, governments need to cooperate with one another and hold each other accountable when a country fails to meet their environmental commitments. For instance, data from 2012 showed that none of the signatory countries had made the required reductions in nitrogen and phosphorus.
Finally, we can all do more. We can apply pressure to our elected representatives, telling them of our concerns about eutrophication of the Baltic Sea. We can follow and support organizations that try to reduce pollution in the Baltic Sea, including the Coalition Clean Baltic and WWF Sweden. We can also help by changing our shopping habits and buying organic food, which forgoes the use of fertilizers.
Thanks for watching!